So here I am again with my knitting on double pointed needles. I've just knit needle 1, and there's the tail showing where they start, and there's the join. I think you can see the join is pretty good. Once I take this bit and knit it over here to hide the tail on the join, all of the stitches will have this same sort of curled edge that long tail creates, and will be just about invisible where it was joined. What I'm going to demonstrate now is the same thing I did when I started, which is when I made a mistake and knit on a set of 4 double pointed needles. 4 double pointed needles were more common when I was learning to knit, and 5 double pointed needles are more common now. But people have both kinds, so it's important to know if your pattern calls for a set of 5 and you only have 4, it won't matter. You can still do whatever you want to do. So I'm starting, this is now needle 2 that I'm knitting onto the spare needle. And I'm just going to put my stitches onto the spare needle. And when I come to the very last stitch, I'm going to put a stitch marker there to remind me, as I put away this spare needle, that I have 2 needles worth of stitches on one needle. And what I'm going to use is this is a bit of wool. I usually use cotton, but I didn't have cotton handy for this demo, so I'm using wool. I put a long-tailed stitch marker on. And the reason for this is I want this stitch marker to get caught in the knitting. So for the first demo, I'm actually going to put it with the tail in back. I'm going to pull the yarn around it so that the tail is caught in the knitting. Now, this is green and perhaps not a lot of contrast for demo, but you should use something with a lot of contrast so you don't accidentally knit it. And again, with cotton. And if you do accidentally knit it, you're just going to undo it and cut it out and continue with a new one. So now the yarn, the knitting yarn, is going to catch those stitches, the tail, so it's never going to fall off the needle, or if it does, it will be easy to put back on the needle because it will be held in place. And unlike other stitch markers that slide along the needle, this one won't get lost when you're sitting, or if you're on the subway or on the bus or even in the car. You just won't knit it. So now I have a triangle again instead of a square, with a double set of stitches and a marker midpoint. So when I'm following my pattern, I can follow for row needle 1, needle 2, move the marker needle 3, and keep track. And this is a way I can keep track of what I'm doing with a set of 4 double pointed needles, even if a pattern calls for a set of 5. In this case, the way I've divided them, I have the beginning of the round in the middle of the 2 needles here, and in a few minutes that's going to change as I show you how you can knit on circular needles, because knitting in the round on circular needles has become a very common practice, and some people don't understand how to do it, but it's a matter of thinking of what you're doing, and you know, it's not that hard at all. So here we go, and we're going to complete a round plus needle 1, and there we go. There's knitting on 4 double pointed needles, 3 stitches holding the needle, 1 stitch being the working needle. And that's another option for working in the round.